everybody. So welcome back. I'm super excited to give you an update for September, almost at the end of September. So our trees are a lot bigger. Hopefully yours are as well. I'm going to check in and we'll see just how big everybody's gotten. Tips for today are going to be adjusting everyone so they continue to get the most sun possible as the light and direction of the sunlight changes. In the yard, I had to do some drastic changes. I'll show you. Also watering, see how that's going, give you an update on the automatic watering and what we might need to do this time of the year. Sunlight's poking through and I was enjoying the clouds so we could take some pictures because they tend to be looking up. All right, let's get into it. All right, so recapping how we got into the hobby.
Friend of mine had some mature trees he wanted to get rid of. The bottom big paper dough, the blackjack hardy, and the golden riverside. So we've been eating these berries and delicious. Nothing bad to say about that. So got to pick them, hang on, wait, and get as ripe and delicious as possible. It's been wonderful. Most of them are all gone, except for the violet paper dough that still has probably 60 or so days left to ripen. You can see. It's nice, they don't ripen all at once. A lot of them are darkened and
swollen right now, but they will ripen kind of in order. The big news, the height, we're up to 9 feet, over 9 feet for the Adriatic JH. If you take away the 12 inches for the pot, that plant is just by itself over 8 feet tall right now. Just a little bit short, 6 inches down, so 7.5 foot plant, or 8.5 feet tall, including the pot. They're growing super well. Got another Codadam and the Vesalica Melissi, both in the same boat. Down the row, in the 7 foot plant, 8 feet tall, you got one of the Mystery 3, the Codadam Mutante, Codadam Blancanegra, or the Bastelier. The leaves look like all the other Codadams though, so I'm gonna assume it's one of those. And the Genovese Nero are all up in that 8 foot range, as is our Palmata hybrid that's got a little curve to him. I say him, we know they're female plants, but those are the super big boys. Used to be just 4 of them, now we got about 2, 4, 6, 7 that are all the giants of the garden. So the plants are all 7 foot or bigger, with now the Adriatic JH at about over 8 feet. So over 100 inches tall. You can see it's starting to look like a bunch of corn. Like the rows, because I'm doing that single leader method, all the plants look very strange. So not a lot like trees that you normally see, but remember, we're growing them in order to get that thick trunk down at the bottom. Let me switch off the wide screen. These are all well fatter than broomsticks now. Now we're looking at more like a snow shovel. I grew up in Chicago, so that is a snow shovel thickness on the bottom. Most of them are broomsticks though. Nice and solid. I'm also getting, I don't know if you guys are getting that, at the end of the year, you see in the last 2 weeks, they dropped some leaves, like their bottom 2 feet. And so I just left them in the bottom to show you guys the plants that were doing it. There's the Genovese Nero, the Codadams. Just in, I would say last week really, just dropped their lowermost leaves. So they finally feel like they've grown enough leaves up top to not need their original 2 or 3 rows of leaves at the bottom. So sunlight is the hot news of the day. Let's talk about that. It's morning right now, so you can see this layout with all the big at the back and all the small trees over here. The big ones are not blocking out the little ones. I've oriented the rows so that the sunlight can pass through. Everybody is getting well lit right now. Starting out in the morning, about 9 o'clock, everyone gets light. But this stadium sizing that hopefully you can see lends well for excellent sunlight, no blocking of the sun throughout the rest of the day. So as the sun passes over from our left to right in this picture, everyone will continue to get sun throughout the day, and even the little guys, the air layer on the end, the oddball, and you can see over there, those two guys, they can easily get blocked up by bigger plants. So now they won't. Everyone will do that. You may have other factors to deal with in order to maximize your sunlight. I had to move them all around. That's a bunch of work, but it's worth it. I had to redo the irrigation. I had to cut this tree down. I took like three green bins worth of stuff. I didn't end up cutting off a lot of the lemons though, so it should be fine. But it allowed this corner with all these plants in this area on the far side and closer to me. Everyone will continue to get great light throughout the day, throughout the rest of the season. That's how the plants get their energy, so I can't just simply, from laziness, let them get a lot less light. Now watering, because again, I'm lazy, they all get watered automatically with the drip irrigation. I have changed up everybody to at least 1 gallon per hour drippers. So everyone's getting more water. All the plants are taller. Even the smallest plants are all above 4 feet now, except for just a couple. And we'll get to those in a minute. But why did I do it? Because I started seeing a few plants where their leaves weren't quite as vigorous. Remember, I say shoot for the stars. I want everyone to look absolutely peak in health. And so the shorter plants were looking a little less than their previous optimum. So I did that. The rain point sensor has been working flawlessly. It keeps everybody within just a couple percentage points of moisture. And we can look and back up. I got so much green, it's hard to see. But if you look at the up variety of these, this is Genovese Nero. You can see its leaves look very much like a black Madeira, very triangle and just cupped upwards. Here we are, this is the black Madeira. Here's the Genovese Nero, here's the black Madeira. They look very identical. So it's not surprising that they're supposed to taste and look almost the same. But that's where I'm going. So when they started deviating from that and not going up quite as high, I added the water. Everybody gets 1 gallon per hour drippers or more, right? As plants get bigger, I'll add 2 and then I'll go 2 gallons per hour or more. So everyone gets the same amount of time per day. If a plant is bigger or has a bigger pot, you need to put more drippers on it so it's getting more water during that time period you select during the day. That is the key, how I keep everybody at the optimum. These have different leaves. This is a Uriciola de Alba. This is the guy that used to be 10 inches tall in my July video, and he's now 4 feet tall. The air layer we took off him, still just about 12 inches tall, but it started growing. You can see its leaves are now starting to come out the top, so it's going to start growing upwards. It's obviously got its leaf. The one shorty, 2 shorties. One is this Bordeaux Negra Ramada. Clearly a slow growing plant. Everyone has passed up this plant. But does this plant look healthy? Absolutely it does. Completely healthy. This is just its pace. Not much we can do about that. Over here, Figo Preto, that was sitting around just 4 inches tall in our first video. It's now, sorry about all the flies, I love fly paper. It's now over 3 feet tall. So it's decided to get growing like everybody else. Let's get growing, people. Little black Madeira. Better than a thumb, that one. Craven's Craven or Noir de Barbentine, that one's got a broomstick. So for me, once they get 4 or 5 feet tall, they're broomstick thick. If yours are 4 or 5 feet tall and you're branching, and they're not broomstick thick, you'll be able to see a difference. I wish I'd done one where I didn't do the single leader method so I could show you all what the difference is, but I have to say, very happy with going this method. Except for the fact that now that they're all this tall, it starts to look like I'm growing corn back in here. Another thing I wish I had changed would be the fruit, right? As you can see, most plants I got 16 or a dozen bags protecting my future fruit from the black fig fly. Should they want to come by. I have not had too many drop. I've probably had 4 drops since our last video that were exposed. They were all the exposed ones, and 2 were inside bags. So it looks like I got my bags on before we got invaded for the most part. But now looking back, I wish I had knocked off more of the figs that they spent their energy and time growing, right? Like say this one, 6 feet tall. It's got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 fig bags, right? If I changed and done, just let maybe 4 go, maybe it would be this big, At the same time, my tallest plants, I did the same thing, right? I'm very systematic. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So they only have like 2 more bags, but I'm doing 12 to 16 figs pretty much on all these first year plants about, right? So did it affect their growth? If you look at the big plants, you'd say no. That's not the reason that the little ones are shorter. I did not leave more figs on the small ones than I did the big ones. But looking back, now I want them all to be big and tall. And so I do find myself wishing that I had knocked off more figs. Starting about September 1st, anything that wasn't swollen to this size or bigger, I knocked off, right? So if they're tiny, like this one, I knocked them off September 1st. Take it off he goes. It's better to start at the bottom so you don't get dripped on. But take off all those new figs and the branches. Drips a little bit, makes a mess. You can see it's a very healthy plant. They just pour, right? Called the Dame Noir. It's an interesting looking fig. Knock it off. See, even on the black Madeira, man, I want every black Madeira I can at this point in the season. I'm gonna snap them off. The new growth. This is how I keep it single leader. Snap off the growth tips as well, as they will not ripen before the end of the year. Get snapped off. Growth tips. Snapped off. I'm doing a lot of that. Is that helping me? It's definitely keeping them in the single liter. It's pretty easy to do. And in your first year, if you have, goals of getting 1 million figs, maybe you can get more. But on all these plants, if I look back on it now, I've kept it to just 12 or 16 per plant total. Knocked them off early in the year, then started letting them grow once they got about 3 feet tall. There's a good amount of each of the new varieties figs for each plant, right? Some of them I kept a little more restricted, like this Craven's Craving. But, and this one, another Craven's Craving, maybe just 8, but it's a shorter plant. It's only 4 feet tall. This Borsa Negra Ramada, even though it's only 2.5, 3 feet tall, super healthy. It has put out maybe 30 figs in that size. I have had to knock off more figs off this one than any other plant. In fact, let's see. Sorry for all the jumping around. Sure enough, every time you look at it, it's growing a new fig. There's another one over here. That's another 2. Oh, 3. Oh no, that's the one that just needs to fall. But yeah, 2 or 3 every time you look at it. Every single node. The Borsa Negra Ramada, for being a slow grower, is extremely prolific. Down at the bottom, it's just a cluster of like 10 figs. And that only takes up about 2 inches, 3 inches of space. They're gorgeous. And delicious. Supposed to be. Rochella de Alba, also. You can see every node. These all need to get bagged today. I'll put out this week. Those are the older ones from the last month. So what do we got? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. 14 figs since July 22nd, when it was only that big. So prolific grower. When this tree gets established, I'm pretty sure it's going to be amazing. So taking a close look at the Palmata hybrid, it's the one that doesn't look like all the rest. It does have beautiful leaves on the underside. They're bigger, wider, flatter, rounder. Not as lobed as all the other varieties. It has a darker green to it. It has red, fuzzy stems. I'm gonna sit here and recap. You want to get your plants as much sun as they can. You may have to move them for the tail end of the year. I have, and I even trimmed plants around the yard so that they could get as much light as possible. Sacrifices need to be made. So lemon tree will put out less this year in terms of new growth, but the figs will put out more, and that's okay with me. My water is on point, and I've adjusted some drippers, added gallons per hour to plants that need it as they get bigger throughout the year. So make sure your sun, your water, your fertilizer are staying on point. If you haven't already switched to a high phosphorus and potassium fertilizer, you should be doing that as things ripen to maximize the quality of your fruit. Any questions, let me know. Thanks for coming to visit. Hopefully your first year fig plants are doing just as well. I'm pretty happy with it, but I haven't tasted any. Are you guys eating your figs already? If so, I am jealous. I wish I'd picked some earlier varieties. Now it's really getting to me. All the ones you see down below that have all those little yellow bags still there. Hope in October we'll get to eat more of these, and we'll get your review of how these first year fig trees taste. Thanks for coming by. Just a little note about these guys. Got a lot of hummingbirds in my yard. And I have I think they're working like little guard dogs. I have not lost any pigs this year to birds. It doesn't appear that the hummingbirds eat the pigs, but they do appear to scare away all other normal birds. So if you have them, I'd work to have a few more. Keep your feeders clean, encourage them to come on in.